Um, I don't know of a time in recent memory, if at all, that I was actively upset that a movie wasn't worse.
That is, what's the opposite of a backhand compliment?
I don't know. Because this movie starts out mediocre and it retains that for a good 75% of the movie. And then it gets high on LSD and starts hitting on its cousins. I don't know what on earth this movie was supposed to accomplish. And I don't know if it did it, because I don't know what they wanted out of it.
Here is some context to the best of my ability. First of all, for the 5 of you who don't know the synopsis, Morbius is a film set in the Sony Spider-Man universe, directed by Daniel Espinosa, written by Matt Sazama and Burke Sharpless. The film stars Jared Leto as the titular Dr. Michael Morbius, a biochemist who tries to cure himself of a rare blood disease. However, when his experiment goes wrong, he inadvertently infects himself with a form of vampirism instead. Now, do you remember seeing trailers for this back in, 2019?
Yeah.
So this was supposed to come out in July of 2020, a few months before Let There Be Carnage in October.
Yeah.
Then the world happened.
Mm-hmm.
So this was supposed to be out before Venom Let There Be Carnage and before No Way Home. So, and by the way, this review is all spoilers.
Yep.
That means the 2 mid-credit scenes make not a goddamn lick of sense.
I almost wonder if there wasn't one until they realized this was going to come out after No Way Home.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that too, and I will reach out to friends who know anything about the production of this, because
you also remember, Mike in the first trailer, Michael Keaton point blank meets Morbius when he's being escorted out of a truck.
I remember that.
Making further that they would make no sense to have those scenes. So a good chunk of this movie, or at least a couple scenes, got changed literally because of when it came out.
So I'm imagining the first post-credit scene was a reshoot, and then the second one was supposed to follow that scene that was cut.
Mike, I have not been this perplexed by how I feel about a film in a long time. I can actively say, we'll get to it because it's near the end, that it has the worst putting together of a scene, CGI, choreography, and all that I have ever seen in a movie in my life.
You're talking about the climax, aren't you?
One specific 20-second chunk of that climax.
Oh, wait a minute. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
But all right. Let's start from the top, shall we?
Yeah. So this movie opens with the scene that we've all seen in the trailers. Yep. Where he goes to the cave and he does the thing. And that was a nice little reference to like the eyes that he has like in the comics.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. And they get the whole thing where he's trying to attract these vampire bats. And I get that. I am astoundedly confused at how this trap works that he got these bats in. Because for all intents and purposes, what I saw in that trap, it looked like a light curtain in front of the cave.
Yeah, that's kind of what I saw too.
And I'm like, okay, all of them got past it because you see them beating the shit out of that helicopter. It's like swarming him. And then we cut to 25 years earlier to where he gives Matt Smith's character the name Milo because every friend he's had is named Milo. For some reason, you have to be Milo. And they're at this institute where they're being taken care of because they all have the same similar blood issue that they need to, in their words, get their oil changed 3 times a day.
That must sound pretty painful.
For those that don't catch the cool soundedness that they tried to put to that makes it sound like they have to have their bodies completely trained of blood 3 times a day.
Yeah.
I don't know if they actively realized how ridiculous they made that sound.
That's a lot of the dialogue in this movie. It's very very well, it's very clunky.
Clunky is a very, very kind way of putting it. So we get it established that, man, who is the actor that plays their doctor?
I think that's Liam Cunningham.
I recognize him from a bunch of stuff, but I've never known what his name was. He always has like random bit parts and stuff. The guy doesn't.
No, wait,
age.
that's Jared Harris.
Jared Harris. The guy doesn't age, apparently, according to this, because 25 years later, it looked like he's a day older. But Matt Smith and Jared Leto grew up. And we basically have 6 main characters in this movie. Jared Leto's character, Matt Smith's character. Pardon me, but I never caught what the actress's name who plays Martine.
That's Adria Arjona.
Okay. The 2 cops and then their doctor. I don't know if anyone else is actively even named in this movie.
That's really everyone.
Okay. We're going to keep Mr. Tyrese Gibson's comments about this film taking place in the MCU for later because, oh boy, do I have a tasty bit of Tyrese Gibson needs to shut off his social media permanently whenever he's in a movie because he is becoming a professional at putting his foot in his mouth up to the kneecap.
Oh, yeah, we'll get there.
So, in relatively quick succession, we see that Michael is very much liked at the hospital. And I like, for the most intensive purposes, like how Morbius is portrayed as this happy-go-lucky kind of my life sucks, but I'm trying to help as many people as possible kind of guy. Because you're supposed to cheer for Morbius in this movie.
Supposed to is the key word.
Supposed to. And then you get to where the cure works and they're off in that tanker. Jiffy quick. Oh boy, does this movie waste no time going nowhere. And everyone's killed. He's got the thing. And then the movie's kind of set into motion relatively fast. Because you then get these two, I believe they said they're CIA agents. I could be wrong.
FBI.
FBI, sorry. FBI agents. And it's Tyrese Gibson. And again, forgive me, I don't know who plays the other guy.
Oh, the other guy is Al Madrigal.
Al Madrigal. And then, of course, they happen to find the paper mache that leads them back, and then somehow, I honestly thought that Martine got $1 Million Babied on the side of that table. I thought she was dead, or basically gonna be dead.
The fact that she survived that long is honestly impressive.
Yeah, and it was like nothing was wrong. And then, like, I watched the movie, but nothing happens basically until Matt Smith gets infected, and then they're mad at each other, and the movie's over.
I jokingly wrote on social media, "This is a movie. There are characters. Things happen."
Yeah, and it's like, and I'm trying hard to like pull, like, you get the scene where he Batmans his way up the banister. That shot's becoming a thing now. And now, like, they have the oh boy, someone else. There's a vampire that killed that nurse, but Jared's saying he didn't do it. Gosh, I wonder who did. And man, and like I said, this film stays so mediocre to where it was like, you know what? I wasn't going to be actively upset if it just hit that tone, got what it needed to do, and they realized that they're not making a Morbius film ever again. But they don't.
Instead, what happens is this goes this basically does like the worst version of the typical MCU. I am fighting the carbon copy, like the carbon copy villain with the same power sets.
And it is. And the worst part is like with Morbius, they at least try to make him kind of look at times like he's in the traditional trench coat, long flowing hair, and stuff like that.
Like casting Jared Leto was like it was a choice almost conceived by like the algorithm.
Yeah, and it's like, and he's fine. I like the one thing where I was like, Jared Leto is Morbius. It makes sense. It does. He's a kooky kind of guy who I could believe is a vampire in real life kind of thing. He's just weird. And it fits. It does. And we get this whip, but then this is gonna sound bad because I love The Mask, and everyone knows that I do because it's in our 0 hour intro. Every time that Matt Smith is running around in business slacks and his face turns, I'm just seeing Dorian Tyrell with the mask on.
Nice.
And I saw it once and I just couldn't shake it. I'm like, why is he in a business suit? What was this wardrobe choice?
I gotta say though, I think Matt Smith might be the best thing about this movie because at the very least, poor wardrobe aside, at least he's having fun with the material.
He's having fun with the material because I think he realized I'm going to be a dork because I'm getting paid because this is going nowhere. And it didn't hit me outside the Dorian Tyrell thing. It just didn't hit me until the movie was done. So, throughout all of this, Milo is a loser. He has one friend who he looks up to, but that friend turns away from him, goes evil, in his opinion. He then gets this new wit about himself. He starts to, think he's got the life by the balls. Gets this darker edge to him.
I think I know where you're going with
Starts
this.
starts flirting with the ladies. Starts getting some mad dance moves. They made Bully Maguire a murderer as the villain.
Accurate.
It is literally Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3 if he was a vampire. It hit me like a sack of bricks as soon as he had that montage of him dancing to whatever that song was in his apartment.
I don't know if that makes this movie better or worse, but now I kind of want to see a deep fake of Bully Maguire.
It is in process right now because I cannot be the only person that saw that. And he even has the swoop to the side emo haircut. It is to a T. The only thing they were missing is before they fought is him telling Morbius that he was going to put some dirt in his eye. That's all it was missing. You tell me, Mike, outside of one dialogue that I genuinely thought was funny, when Morbius was breaking that guy's hands and he's going through the ligaments that he's breaking and he's talking about, oh, there goes the fibulas. Oh boy, here we go. There's that stinky pinky. That little bit of dialogue, genuinely well written, and it got a belly laugh out of me. I'm like, that was good.
If they stuck with like that tone throughout the film, like Sony would have had another Venom.
Yes, they would have. Mike, until we get to the end fight scene and the events that happen right before it, name another thing that you can actively, vividly recall in a scene from the chunk of when Morbius gets bit to there.
Let's see. I'm struggling here.
Like I can tell you the events how they get there, but the exact scenes and how they happen, I got nothing. This is the definition of this movie happened.
Basically, like I can say like general things that I liked. Like on paper, I kind of like the kind of sort of friendship that's established between Milo and Michael. I like the kind of sort of romance established between Dr. Morbius and Martine. I think I like Jared Harris's character. He's kind of useless in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, I will admit, I did like when they were allowed to not be stereotypical comic book hero and villain spitting lines at each other. When they were actually talking, there's that moment when they're both on the sidewalk walking and he starts talking about love and Leto knows, what do you know about love? He's like, I read about it and I watched a rom-com or two. And he says, if you start quoting, gosh dang it, I can't remember what rom-com he mentions, but he mentions a rom-com and then he's like, I will start slowly hobbling in that direction. And I'm like, okay, that like little jokes like that honestly were pretty good.
Again, that's the sort of stuff that if this had a tighter script and more awareness of what it was, I probably would have liked this a little bit more.
Yeah.
Also, I think just fundamentally, Matt Smith probably could have carried this on his own as just Morbius.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people saying, and it's hard to disagree.
The weird thing is like this just whole movie, they should have went, all right, we kind of don't know what's going on here.
Oh, and here's the other thing. You know, positive or negative, a lot of the action scenes, you can tell that the director wanted them to be R-rated, but Sony's like, I got a better idea. How about no?
Oh, you mean the multiple times where they slash people's throats and then they gargle in pain like they're supposed to be Quentin Tarantinoing, sprinklering blood out of their necks and they aren't?
Yeah.
Where they even like salivate on people's open wounded necks and then they're just like, yeah, there's nothing's going to come out of there. I know he just opened him like a Thanksgiving turkey, but like, no, sorry.
And I'm not usually that guy who says like, oh, this should have been R-rated. Like, I'm not one of those people who even when it comes to Deadpool think like that needs to be R-rated.
Yeah.
But this one they made it obvious that it was censored. It was like brought down to a PG-13.
Yeah. And it's like, I wish they would have chose a better way to show that Morbius is fast than these weird freeze frames that essentially don't do anything. Because like half the time when they freeze frame, he's looking like they're trying to find awkward different poses for the Air Jordan logo.
Oh.
And like nothing else is happening around him. He's not dodging fire. He's just posed in midair.
Yeah, they always do like the slow motion like after he's dodged a bullet and not like before.
Yeah, or after he's taken out 3 guys. They don't slow-mo it to show you that. It's like, whoa, he went fast and now he's about to stop. I don't care that he's stopping. I can visualize that on my own, thank you. And it's like, and this is like the echolocation stuff was cool, but like, man, their justification for like him flying in front of the subway train, I'm like, is he riding shockwaves in the air? I don't know what's happening. And you, man, I am not saying that I walked into this movie thinking that I was going to like it, but I didn't know I was going to walk out as actively confused at what happened with my life for the past 2 hours. Like, and then just like the movie just happens. Like he breaks into a random meth lab, or I'm going to assume it's a drug lab, and starts just making the anti-serum because the plot needs him to make the anti-serum.
Basically.
And then, of course, Martine gets done, and then she's like, drink my blood, make it worth it. And they have this really weird, awkward kissing moment to where he like pricks himself, but it kind of looks like he pricked her. And she drops blood in her mouth and he goes away. And then, like, they honestly expect you to be a 5-year-old and not expect something happened. It's vampire blood.
Yeah, like, what do you think was going to happen?
Yeah. And then you have the scene where, again, oh boy, and when Matt Smith goes to him in jail and so cleverly throws a bright red bag of blood on a yellow bed, and that freaking guard didn't see that. Oh boy, I was like, yep, they don't care anymore. But we get to this fight scene, and this, on my soul, I do not think I will see something worse. They are just fighting each other, starting about in the air, and then they stop and they get to opposite ends of buildings. And then they jump. Someone in the editing room hit every type of drug within the 15 kilometers of where they were editing, and then they were in a sewer floor. I could not tell you what happened. It was dark. They went 1,000,000,000 miles an hour. There was screams, there was metal clanging, and then they were on the ground.
So, can we finally stop complaining about the third act in Black Panther?
Yeah, that's got nothing on this. That looked like it could have been edited for smoothness. Like, I could say there's rough edges to where, like, you could kind of tell it was green screened a little, but this is bad. Black Panther's fine. Could have used maybe a couple more months in the oven, but that scene was fine. This could have used 5 more years. That is literally, they had a scene that was edited badly and they know they couldn't fix it, so they pressed fast forward and then left the fast forward effect in the shot. It is the worst CGI I have seen in my entire life in a big budget film. It was god awful. I turned to my roommate who was with me and said, I literally don't know what happened. He's like, I don't either. I couldn't understand it.
Even trying to recall the scene, all I'm seeing is just like purple and red blurred is all over the screen.
Yeah. And like, okay, here's one, Mike. Before we even get to the ending, what color was Morbius's moving fast energy?
It depended. It literally depended on what he was wearing.
On what he was wearing, because he drank human blood before, and then it was orange. We get to the end of the movie, and oh boy, it's purple now. Is it because he saw his girlfriend get maybe killed? What are we dealing with here?
Or it literally is just a blur effect from the clothes that he's wearing.
Yeah. And then he sonars in the water bats, and he batokinesises him into a wall and cures it. That is all I could comprehend from that CGI sludge fest. Y'all think the fight between Riot and Venom was bad? I could tell you while watching it what happened in that fight. I had nothing. What did I miss here, Mike? What did I miss?
Like I said, things happen. That is essentially my review. I think watching it in theater, like sitting down and watching it in theaters, I was enjoying this just like overall more than movies like Four Stick or Ghost Rider or Green Lantern. But that's honestly just because my expectations were like on the floor.
Yeah. And then the movie's it just ends. You see the girl wake up, and it's just over. He killed his friend, and now he left. And it's done. Roll credits. But wait. We're going to throw the rules that we had in the previous movies about how this blip works and how that spell happened and throw that shit clean out the window. Along with anyone who thinks any of those Sony movies happen in the MCU. Because, oh boy, did they go out of their way to say, no, Sony, you take all your toys back. We got Tom Holland, and that's all we want.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mike, stop me if I make some mistakes.
So you see the purple sky.
You see the purple sky. And that is showing you that more people are falling into the world and Doctor Strange can't stop them because the way this spell worked, it sent out a sonar type signal of all these people who know who Peter Parker is and brought them to this world. Had less than nothing to do with anyone that was on our planet and main 616 continuity, we'll call it that because that's what the comics call it, or anyone that knew who he was already, that lived here. Didn't affect him at all. So the cloud appears, and it's for some reason sucked up Adrian Toomes and spit him out onto a different planet.
And in some random prison.
Yeah. But wait. Why did it do that, do you ask? What was the grand explanation for why this thing was the exception to the rule? Because Marvel doesn't want to make a Sinister Six movie, and Sony does. Let's cut back to Tyrese. I need to get my Twitter taken away, Gibson.
Who said that
let's just start. Let's start from the beginning here. Tyrese. Fuck Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We don't need him in any of our films. He can shut up because he's not family, and I'm just as big a star as he is. Blah, blah, blah. Then Vin Diesel goes, no, we want Dwayne "Rock" Johnson in our films. Blah, 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 blah. Then someone makes a random mock-up of him looking like Jon Stewart. I need a campaign, y'all. I need to be Green Lantern. We can't let this die because I know my fans and this and that. And it's going to happen, y'all. Keep trying. No, it's not. Then the balls of Mr. Gibson. Guys, don't believe anything any one of these people say. Our film takes place in the MCU. We're in main Marvel continuity. When the end credit scene literally shows them ripping characters out of a continuity that existed in the MCU to take it to wherever this backcountry corner of where Sony's going to play is. Foot all the way up to the pelvis in his own mouth.
Yep.
Tyrese, turn off your Twitter. Because all you do is make an ass of yourself. That's all you ever do. So, we get this end credit scene that they, for some reason, took two end credit scenes of the same character and split them by 2 minutes of credits.
It literally could have just been one scene.
Yeah.
Although, I genuinely am wondering if I'm wondering if like the first part was probably a reshoot, because in the trailers what we see is we see Adrian Toomes like leaving prison and like getting transported somewhere else. He's like, hey, what's up, Doc? We should meet up.
Yeah.
But we don't see that. We just see them actually meeting up in some random field in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. And now, here is my start of questioning. Sony has the biggest hard-on that you can see from space about wanting to get a Sinister Six movie going. Are they going to try and make the Sinister Six heroes?
Fuck, I hope not.
Because tell me how. Keep with me here. At the end of Homecoming, Adrian Toomes is taken down by Peter Parker. But he's shown to be an unbelievably stand-up guy that cared about taking care of his daughter and was not going to rat out Peter because he has a code and he doesn't know nothing. When he is approached by Matt Gargan, Scorpion. Michael Mando, by the way, if they do not actually make him Scorpion. Sony, you are the biggest morons on the planet. Which they got the Scorpion tattoo on him, whatever. You do what you guys got to do. So, shown to be a good, upstanding guy. Perfect. Then we show this entire movie about Michael Morbius trying to fix his own life, that he doesn't want to be a bad guy. We cut to this end credit scene to where he is in another planet, another continuity, parallel universe, within the time that, where I don't know how long it's been, got another functional working set of the exact same armor that was destroyed at the end of Homecoming, and meets up with Michael Morbius saying, "Hey Doc, I read about you. Figure two guys like me, you guys like us, could get together and do some good." What is their plan here? What am I missing?
They did he mentioned Spider-Man,
Yep.
but like, yeah, but like, what do they want to do? Do they want to, is there a Spider-Man for them to fight? Are they going to, are they going to pretend they're like the Suicide Squad?
Are they both going to randomly be bad people now? Are they going to somehow heel turn them for no reason? Toombs, you could say a little bit, wants to rob, do some things, whatever. But he literally did that to support his family. And because he didn't like Tony Stark. You know who they're never going to show on movies again? Especially not in a random Sony spinoff? Tony Stark. What is the plan here?
And this is the problem that I have, even with like good, like great examples of villain protagonists, because like, I know that like, I know that like there are really good examples of villain protagonist stories, but specifically in this genre, it's hard because they try to get you to root for these characters, but they still want to have their cake and eat it too. So they're like, they're neither heroes nor villains. They're kind of like a little bit of both. And that doesn't really work the way they think it does.
No. And the versions of these stories where you have villains as heroes is stuff like Suicide Squad, where these people have multiple connections with multiple characters and you can throw them into other stuff. Even in comics, Morbius and Vulture, their sole purposes are being Spider-Man villains. What else do you have? Who are you going to make them fight? Are you going to...
And again, because this is not set in the MCU, you can't do a thing like pitting Morbius against Blade, which would have been cool under smarter heads.
Yeah, it's like, I'm legit lost. Because, like, the next thing's Craven. Are they going to go, yeah, man, I heard about this random hunter who's a herbitor. We're going to... Like, Sony, hear me out here. Venom is someone you can make a hero. He has 9 billion symbiotes he can fight before he even needed to go back to Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing that. You even set up Toxin in the movie. But now you have Vulture and Morbius. Before you even tried touching Black Cat, who would have been a lot better shout because she's got connections to do other things. Give or take, she doesn't have a big rogues gallery, but she's at least a person that you could have got some other things going with. Silver Sable, for Christ's sake. Because you shot down Silk. You shot down Black and Silver. That I thought that was a thing they were doing, unless I totally pipe dreamed that.
It never got out of it never got past development.
And also, Prowler! What is the giant cock block that Sony has against Prowler? In Into the Spider-Verse, kill him off. In Homecoming, he's just in one scene.
And he's really just Donald
Glover. For crying out loud. You have a great actor, Donald Glover, who's supposed to be Prowler. And all he is there is to be like, hey guys, Miles, bye. Morbius has a live action hero spin-off film before Miles Morales. And you're expecting me to care about what him and Vulture are gonna go do? Like, if you had a previously established, even if you do the horse crap where it's like, maybe Garfield got sucked into there. Maybe. I don't know what they're doing. Or like Venom comes back and maybe they do something with him. You need to bank on these films making money to do these other things. I would hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't think Morbius is going to make a lot of money.
Because of the negative word of mouth.
Good. And also, there's a little movie coming out next Friday called Sonic 2 that is going to stomp this thing through the curb.
Oh yeah, next week is a pretty busy weekend because we've got Sonic the Hedgehog 2, we've got Michael Bay's film Ambulance, and the little indie that could, a movie by the Daniels called Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah. This thing is going to be forgotten about so fast. And like, I can't even come up with ideas for what they set up in an end credit scene. Where are you supposed to go? Everyone is going to be confused as shit as to where you're heading with this film. And the only thing you have right now that's even confirmed to be happening is that at some point, Aaron Taylor Johnson's going to be Kraven.
And that's
and the Madam Web film.
That's supposed to come out next year, too.
Yeah, and this Madam Web film at some point. What is the plan? Did you just Amazing Spider-Man 2's ending this thing again? Because y'all had time. You had plenty. You made up with Marvel and shared toys for a while. Don't let it be the second it gets back into Amy's hands only that this goes down the tubes. Because, man, you've got toys in that Spider-Man basket that can make its own little universe. But this ain't it.
I while you were talking, I was looking up some details about Morbius's supporting cast, and they like ate clean through all of what makes Morbius tick in this movie. He has nowhere else to go unless he again gets into it with Spider-Man or fights Blade, but the ladder's not an option. So unless he's fighting Andrew Garfield, he's got nowhere to go.
Are they going to sick him on Venom? Like, unlike they're gonna because they ain't gonna stick. I wouldn't doubt that they come up with Miles and stick him there. There's just I left that film going, yeah, that wasn't great. To getting into my car going, I'm actively confused. To going home going, I wish it was worse, because then I could at least get something out of it that it was bad. But it was mediocre till a really bad fight scene that takes 10 minutes and then it was just done, and I left confused. I didn't think confused was going to be the feeling that I had coming out of it. I am more confused at this than where the MCU is going, and the MCU is in about 8 different directions right now.
The MCU, for the first time since Phase 1, has been busted open.
Yeah.
And I like that, because
So do I.
I like that Marvel has gotten so big that there's room for experimentation.
Exactly.
Sony hasn't really earned that yet.
No, and Sony has a country that they can play with. It's a very defined country, because I don't know how big their character list is for Spider-Man. But Marvel has got basically everything that's not Spider-Man now. They literally bought the company that was holding the other characters they wanted to use.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so confused. And to shed a little background light here, I do some extra stuff for RPC. This is going to be going up on RPC's website, because we were going to do a Capes podcast, and Mike, being the champ that he is, was going to be the guy that went, hey, who is interested in doing a Capes for Morbius? About an hour and a half of silence, and then I just put a GIF going. You could hear a cricket fart in here. We got laughs and still no responses. I am a guy that will openly watch Zombie Croc and other god-awful, which my new favorite, Stephen King and the Sharks of the Corn.
Oh, I've heard about that.
That one, people. Oh boy. Sharks powered by an alien that has to do with the the stone things that no one can explain how it got built.
Oh, Stonehenge?
Stonehenge. And they never explain how it gets there. I am that level of confused as I am with this movie. And man, I wanted to at least like it a little. I wanted to be like, hey man, that movie blew, but I got a little bit out of it, got a couple laughs, but this end credit scene, that'll get me. I'll be like, cool, that's what they're doing next.
Okay, I kind of have to ask, because this movie is in such a unique position that, because of it being delayed, it's completely out of continuity. If we saw this in the order it was supposed to be released in, would you feel better or worse about it, or the same?
I honestly don't even think it would have affected it because it wouldn't have done anything more. Like all you would have got is that Adrian Toomes is over there now. And like I guess I would have been less confused maybe, but they still would have had the let's meet up and talk thing. I think no matter where they put this, it just would have had the end credit scene a little bit different. And it still would have confused the crap out of me. I like nothing. I'm figuring it out now. It's hitting me hard here. I don't think I like anything less than leaving a movie actively confused.
At least if a movie swung one way or the other, that's what every director should strive for. And I think what's even more disappointing about Morbius is I don't think Daniel Espinosa is a bad director. In fact, the last movie he did, Life, with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds,
Yeah.
I love that movie. That movie is a great little sci-fi alien knockoff.
Unconfirmed Venom sequel or prequel, I should say.
Oh God, I remember those rumors.
Yeah. Like before we leave here, we have comments somehow. Again, some people are finding my burner YouTube channel somehow. But a movie about Kraven the Hunter. I will say Kraven the Hunter is one where if you actually do it well and show his roots hunting in Africa, you can do something with that. And if you actually take him hunting the deadliest prey, which is man, and have him tracking down Spider-Man and have like Spider-Man be elusive and in the city and like showing some of those stories about how when he finally takes him down, but he can't live with himself afterwards. There's great stories about Kraven the Hunter that you can actively do if you adapt it properly. Kraven's one of the few that is the oddball Spider-Man villain that, if done correctly, has a lot to pull from. So I will give them credit at least with that. We'll see. And Leto, when he's in an Oscar movie, can do a good performance. Is he the best actor on the planet? No. But when he's actively trying to not play an off-the-wall, random kook bag character, he can be good. He just, I think, likes those type of characters too much. And like we were talking about last comments with the end credit scenes, the end credit scene does the same thing. And like we said earlier, in the first trailer, we have Toomes talking to Morbius saying we should meet up sometime. So that end credit scene at the end would have happened either way. It's just doesn't make sense. The time frame of whether it was shot or not doesn't matter. It just doesn't make sense because it leads to nothing, and it doesn't give you an honest to God direction of anything.
It's almost like a post-credit scene just for the sake of having a
Having
scene.
one. Yeah, and I would have preferred it just didn't have one at this point. Because if it wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't have been confused. I just would have went, okay, that movie wasn't great.
But of course, like in this modern age of blockbusters, everything's got to tie into something.
Yeah, and it's like supposedly there was reports already that they already have the end credit scene of Sonic 2 leaked. Give or take, I would bet my house that I know what it's going to be.
If they're smart, they would do what you think it is.
Exactly. And I like I said, I can almost guarantee you it's that. They're not going to have Big the cat walking out of a portal. It's going to be Shadow. That's just what it's going to be. Because they got Knuckles. They're just going to keep going because then they can maybe have the smaller crew with whatever. But yeah, that's it, man. Do you have anything else you want to say in this? We're approaching an hour, and I cannot actually comprehend that we've talked this long about this movie.
You know what? I'll say this. If you're one of those like, if you're just one of those like cheap seat Tuesday moviegoers, or you're bored on the weekend and you want to catch a matinee, this movie's fine. It's like completely disposable. I just don't know. I don't know what Sony wants anymore. I mean, if I ever really had a clue to begin with.
No, like this Craven movie is going to be very telling, because if they start sputtering in their tracks the second that the MCU went out of their way to erase everything that connected Tom Holland's Spider-Man to the other stuff that was not MCU, they basically cleaned the slate with everything to where they're like, he can go be whatever he wants to be now.
One thing I'll
That
say
was
about
very telling.
one thing I'll say about Craven before we get out of here is they have a really good director behind this, J.C. Chandor. He did All Is Lost with Robert Redford, and one of my favorite Oscar Isaac movies, A Most Violent Year.
Okay.
So I trust that this is going to be a better movie than what we've seen so far.
Got it. Yeah, and I like Aaron Taylor Johnson quite a bit. So is he going to be one of the first ones, if not the first one, that started out in the MCU and then was in Sony?
Well, I mean, he was in Kick-Ass first.
Well, I get that, but I'm talking about in Marvel.
Oh, in Marvel? Yeah, I guess.
Because I don't think there's any other, especially in the age where they commingle.
Yeah, I guess
It's weird.
I guess in that case, you're right.
Yeah. But yeah. All right. I'm going to keep droning on about how confused I am if we don't get out of here, and we are approaching an hour. So, Mike, where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. You can also find us on Podchaser and the Banana Meter. Listen to all of our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. And last but not least, everything can be found here at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we.
Absolutely. And you will find me everywhere at Organoid Zero, mostly on Twitch and my YouTube channel, which this will be uploaded on Friday after I get it edited and all that stuff. So yeah, Morbius was a movie. That's my take. That's what I got. All right, folks. Bye.
Peace.